we live in a world with three dimensions, but most of the time we are confined to a flat surface, surface of the Earth. So for me, life is disappointingly two-dimensional. So I want to make a game that is as three-dimensional as possible to make up for that. So it looks like fancy like falling objects in slow motion. Got all kinds of 3D platforming puzzles and 3D spatial relations puzzles and stuff like that. So the idea for it, I also like space games, but I feel like they are a little too spread out. They're a little too realistic to how space actually is. And it would be more fun if the objects were closer together. So my idea is basically the tree of life idea from Norse mythology, Yggdrasil or whatever. I don't know how to pronounce it. So imagine there's that, and it connects every planet in the universe. But the tree itself is ethereal. Only the leaves, the offshoots of the tree in the material worlds are what you can see. So there's sort of like a whole bunch of platforms in space, and each one is a leaf of this great cosmic tree, and you can't quite see the tree because it's made of some ethereal, spiritual substance, but you can see its leaves. So there's a whole bunch of planets, and they're distributed according to where the leaves of a tree would be. And so the way you explore the game is by figuring out a way to traverse the leaves of the tree. So that's sort of that's the main idea. The other idea I had is the leaves. So you get sort of seeds of the tree, and then you plant them in the ground in one of the material planes of existence, and then it takes a little bit, a chunk out of that plane of existence, and puts it at the location of a tree in the sort of ethereal plane where the tree is. So the effect is that all the leaves of the tree are sort of little chunks taken out of different dimensions. And I thought maybe the dimensions themselves could be like the 9 realms of Norse mythology. So they actually have a pretty interesting diversity of themes to them. You have like a fire realm and a hell realm and a ice realm, Niflheim, and a regular earth realm, Midgard, and then the realm of the gods, Asgard, and realm of giants, Jotunheim. Seems like you could get some pretty cool thematic ideas out of that. Okay, so then I thought I kind of like platforms, but I want there to be other sort of more funky 3D structures floating around. So I thought maybe the fruits of the tree are sort of their own things. So the fruit is sort of like a planetoid. So like a little spherical thing, and the gravity is oriented toward the center of the thing. And it's sort of like a challenge. You have to go into the fruit, and then all kinds of 3D nonsense happens inside the fruit, and then you have to infiltrate it and get the seeds and get out of the fruit. And then you can do with the seeds whatever you like. They're powerful items. You go and plant them, and then you have a new place to explore. Fruit. And I thought, let's see. Another aspect of fruit is that basically there's a different kind of seed that can be planted in each realm. Like, for example, if you want to plant a seed in in the cold realms, then you need the seed of a tree that can withstand cold. So you need to go inside a fruit of like a cold fruit, which would be like sort of an ice level, and get icy seeds that are able to be planted within the cold realms. So, and each type of fruit would give a particular type of seed, and each type of seed would have a restriction on where you can plant it. Okay, the next thing I thought is, in this metaphor where everything's a big tree, what else can I put in there? Well, tree animals, right? Birds and squirrels and bugs and stuff. There's like ethereal versions of all of them, and they are sort of powerful enemies, or at the very least, like creatures dwelling within the plane of the tree. And actually, there's an ethereal squirrel in Norse mythology already. It's called Ratatoskr, and it runs up and down the tree carrying gossip between a giant serpent that lives at the bottom of the tree and a giant eagle that lives at the top of the tree, which I thought was a great detail. So I'm definitely going to do stuff with all of those things. I also thought maybe there's a sort of ethereal plant that isn't the tree, but it's parasitic to the tree, or it's growing on the tree, like a mistletoe, or or moss and lichens growing on the larger limbs, something like that. Maybe that can be like nebulas or something. Let's see, what else did I think of? So, okay, so there's this like big tree of all these little tiny planets, and it's going to be like a couple hundred, or maybe tens of thousands of these planets. So a whole galaxy, essentially, a whole video game galaxy, and procedurally generated, and, well, not exactly procedurally generated, because I was thinking I would hand make at least parts of the like 9 material dimensions, and then the tree is basically just a whole bunch of little sections of the dimensions scattered around in space. So I need to build some original dimensions, and then I need to have a way of scooping an arbitrary, I guess, sphere out of the dimensions and making it its own 3D model and putting it in space. So simulating that sounds very difficult. So I thought maybe simulation itself could be a game mechanic. So you have like a special seed or fruit or something tree-ish, and in a sphere around it, the world is simulated, and everything else in the world is frozen. And you have sort of like a small number of these that exist. So like, I don't know, there are 10 of these all-important seeds, and they are scattered throughout the world, and your goal is to collect all of them. And you start off with one of them, which is why you are alive, and the area around you is alive and not frozen. So I was thinking of calling these like seeds of the fates, or seeds of the Norns, which are like the Norse equivalent of fates. And the lore would be that in the past, the whole universe was within this sphere of influence of these seeds, or everything was simulated and alive and moving. But then the day of Ragnarok approached, and in Norse mythology, Ragnarok is supposed to be when the fire giant Surtur comes out of Muspelheim, the fire realm, and starts invading Asgard and the other realms. So I thought maybe what happened is they started doing this. The other people who had control of these seeds of the fates realized that they were going to come out and like destroy the rest of the world. The Fire Realm people were going to come out and destroy the rest of the world. So they just put everything on pause as like an emergency, stop everything. We're going to reduce the sphere of influence of these seeds. And then we're going to see if we can like stop time and then figure out a way to defeat these fire giants. And you find yourself in possession of one of these seeds, and your mission is to do that, or restore whatever, restore life to the universe. I was thinking also maybe they meant to freeze only the fire realm, but then it backfired and froze everything. I just think it would be cool if maybe the pieces of the fire realm that have been transported into the plane of the tree look like stars, because the whole realm is made of fire. And so when you like transport a sphere of the fire realm and put it into the ethereal plane, it looks like just a ball of fire. But it's a frozen ball of fire because time is frozen for everything, not next to one of these seeds of the fates. And then when you approach the ball of fire with your seed of the fates, it starts getting simulated again, and then a fire giant like rushes out of the star and tries to kill you, which would be fun. Let's see. Did I have any other ideas? Okay, so which direction are the platforms oriented? So basically, like, the fruits are spheres, so the gravity is near them is always oriented toward the center, but the leaves are platforms, so there's like one single direction of gravity. So which direction of gravity should that be? Well, I was thinking maybe how it works is that you can physically see the material realms like off in the distance in space from the tree. And then the direction of each platform is the same as the direction of the ground. Like its faces towards the center of the planet that it's from. So if you have, for example, maybe hell is below the tree, so it faces sort of down, relative to the tree trunk. And then Asgard is at the top of the tree or above the tree. And so those platforms face up, so the gravity points up toward Asgard. And then the other realms are sort of scattered around the tree, so they point in other angles. But maybe a twist could be that one of the realms is actually located in the middle of the tree, like Midgard. So the Midgard platforms are sort of radially oriented toward the center of the tree. So they're all facing sort of different directions, or which direction they face depends on which part of the tree you're in. Let's see. I suppose I'll just read through the list of realms and see, and sort of just count off all the ideas I had about each one. So 9 Norse realms. Okay, we got Midgard. So that's supposed to be Earth. Midgard is just going to be like a pleasant, wild realm of fields and villages and, like sort of early human civilization, very pastoral and peaceful. Then you got Jotunheim. So Jotunheim, that's supposed to be sort of at the home of giants. The Jotuns are like the frost giants. So it's going to be a very snowy, mountainous place with very scary wild beasts and giants who are there and are generally not friendly. Okay. There's Asgard, the realm of the gods. I was thinking that would sort of look like this sort of, saturated, sickly sweet, like Thomas Kincaid sort of deal. And there are gods there, and they're very powerful. And they rule with an iron fist over Asgard. There is, let's see, Alfheim, the home of the elves. So I was thinking Alfheim would be sort of a marshy, misty, like mysterious place with lots of sort of enchantments on it. And even if you go toward just the vicinity of a platform from Alfheim, all kinds of crazy enchantments take control of you. Then there's Vanaheim, so the Vanir, or Vanir, are like another parallel bunch of gods in Norse mythology. I was thinking in this one they could be like wizards, sort of like magical gods. So Vanaheim would have all kinds of like magical ancient knowledge, and I was thinking that maybe they could be the ones who pulled all this nonsense with the freezing of time, and it especially backfired on them. So it's like even when you go up to them with you holding your seed of the fates, it's still frozen, and you could do a lot of interesting things with like a frozen in time realm. Let's see, then there's Muspelheim. I already mentioned that those are going to look like stars, and then it turns out that when you start, when you let them simulate by moving close to them, there are armies of fire demons inside, waiting to try to kill you and invade the rest of the universe. Then there's Niflheim, which is supposed to border hell in Norse mythology, and it's like a freezing ice realm of springs and glaciers, and that's where it's supposed to be the root of the tree. So I'll do things like that. It's going to be like a sort of icy blue cold realm. Then there's hell. So hell is where the dead people go in Norse mythology, all the dead souls. So it's going to have just a Hades hell vibe, like all skulls and snakes and terrible gloom and monsters in there. And then finally the last one is Svartalfheimer. So the Svartalf means swarthy elf. So that's the Norse mythology name for dwarves. So dwarves come from there. I was thinking that would be a realm of caves. Like nobody has reached the surface of Svartalfheim. And I was also thinking that actually you are a dwarf from Svartalfheim, because you're like the dwarven craftsmanship produced a spaceship, and this is why you're piloting this little spaceship through the ether of the ethereal plane where the tree is. So you're like a dwarven explorer, and you suddenly find that the world is frozen, and it's just you and your spaceship exploring this frozen cosmic tree. All right, have I said everything? Those are all the realms. I said all my plans. Oh yeah. So, basically, I can mix and match whatever material realms I want, because there's sort of like there's two parts of this game. There's exploring the tree, and there's exploring the material realms that make up the tree, that make up the platforms of the tree. And so exploring the tree is sort of a function of whatever realms I make. Like whatever realms I make, I can pick them apart and get little pieces of them and cobble them together, and then that's the tree. So it really matters what content you make in the realms. So I was thinking, I can try to procedurally generate the realms, and I can try to or I could try to make them by hand, but both of those are a lot of effort, I feel like. So one thing I could do is take Google Maps data and then like make a function that turns a segment of Google Maps into a piece of the game world. And then that's sort of a crazy idea, but then I would get interestingly varied terrain or interestingly varied, noise, instead of just standard Perlin noise or whatever. I would get stuff that has actual patterns in it because it's from Google Maps, because it's from the real world. And then all I have to do is figure out how to interpret it as a game. So that's an unrelated idea. I'm undecided about that. Let's see. So the player is a dwarf, let's say. It's from Svartalfheim. And they're off exploring the tree. And all the platforms are facing toward Svartalfheim. That they can, and I guess where I'm going with this is, what direction are entities facing? What direction of gravity do they experience? I was thinking maybe there's sort of a system of divine ties or spiritual ties to a place. So if you're a dwarf, you're spiritually tied to Svartalfheim, and so basically no matter what happens, your direction of gravity will always be towards Svartalfheim, no matter where you are in the tree. Even so, that means that the platforms that are from other worlds will just be at a weird angle to you, and it won't be very easy to explore them. So there will be a system of various things you can do in the game to untether yourself from your home realm, and then maybe you can tether yourself to another realm, or you can exist completely untethered and just not experience any gravity or something like that. Some crazy shenanigans with gravity that force you to think about how to explore things in different angles. Because there are a lot of, this is part of what the feeling I want to evoke, is we have, there are 3D games out there, 3D platformers, and they all have a single down direction, unless it's specifically they're space games, or part of their mechanic is that you can walk on walls sometimes, which is pretty common, but there's sort of one overarching down direction, and I want to sort of get away from that. So which direction is the overarching down direction depends on where you come from, if you're playing a dwarf or an elf or a person. Okay. Let's see. There's one other thing which maybe I should have mentioned earlier, which is the way that you travel between the material plane and the astral or ethereal plane tree. So if you're on a platform, there is a way that you sort of commune with the tree, and then the sphere around, the sphere of the platform in the ethereal plane swaps places with the equivalent sphere on the realm that it came from. So you can teleport, or really swap places with the location in the material plane where the platform was taken from. And then you can walk around in that material plane. So the way to potentially explore the entire game world is you start somewhere, you sort of teleport up to the tree, and then you fly over to another platform on the tree, and then you teleport to wherever that came from. It could be a different realm. and then you wander around in that realm and you find another leaf of the tree, and then you teleport back up to the tree, and that can be like a completely different place within the tree. So there's like a switching back and forth between different realms in the tree, and that's how you explore the whole game world. Okay, now I think that's actually everything.